Some say the universe has a way of humbling the arrogant. Others believe it rewards the bold. Lieutenant Commander James Harlow had seen enough of both to know the truth lay somewhere in the middle. Today, as he stood on the observation deck of humanity's newest frigate, the Resolute Dawn, he watched the distant glow of a dying star paint the void in shades of amber and crimson. He couldn't help but wonder which category his own species would fall into. The ship hummed beneath his feet, a gentle vibration that spoke of tremendous power held in check. Just 6 months ago, humanity had barely mastered faster-than-light travel. Now, they were establishing their third colony beyond the solar system, a small settlement on the lush forest world of Kepler's Promise. They called it progress. Politicians called it destiny. James preferred to think of it as controlled chaos with good intentions. Suddenly, a voice cut through the quiet hum of the bridge. "Commander, we've got something on long-range sensors." It was Lieutenant Raina Park, the Resolute Dawn sensor operator. Her tone carried that specific blend of curiosity and concern that always made experienced officers pay attention. "It's big. Really big." James moved away from the viewport, crossing the bridge in 4 quick strides. The Resolute Dawn was not a large vessel by any means. Just 300 meters of compact efficiency, designed for patrol duties and showing the flag in humanity's newly claimed territories. Her crew of 82 were all volunteers, every single one of them, people who had signed up to venture beyond the comfortable cradle of Earth's solar system. "Defying really big," James said, leaning over Rena's station. The young woman's fingers danced across holographic displays, pulling up data streams that painted a picture James didn't particularly like. 3,000 meters, give or take. Rena's dark eyes reflected the glow of her screens. Mass readings suggest heavy armor and significant weapon systems. It's holding position in the Oort cloud, trying to look like an asteroid, but its thermal signature is all wrong. James felt his jaw tighten. First contact protocols existed for situations just like this. Carefully crafted documents that outlined the proper procedures for encountering alien intelligence. Unfortunately, those documents assumed both parties actually wanted to talk. A ship that size, hiding in the outer system, suggested intentions that were anything but diplomatic. "Is it scanning us?" he asked, his voice low. "Has been for the last 7 minutes. Raina pulled up another display. "Passive sensors only, but it's definitely taking our measure. They know we're here." The bridge of the Resolute Dawn was designed for peak efficiency. 20 stations were arranged in a semicircle around the commander's chair, each manned by specialists who had trained for years to master their craft. Right now, every eye on that bridge was turned toward James, waiting for the orders that would either prove him worthy of his rank or expose him as a fraud. "Wake the captain," James said quietly, his voice steady, "and get me everything we know about ships that size. I want to understand what we're dealing with." As Raina relayed his orders, James returned to the viewport. The distant star continued its slow, fiery death, completely indifferent to the drama unfolding in its outer reaches. Somewhere out there, hidden among the ice and rock, something was watching them. Something that had chosen concealment over a simple greeting, observation over communication. A moment later, the doors to the bridge hissed open, and Captain Thomas Brennan entered. He was a compact man in his late 50s, with gray hair cropped military short and eyes that had seen more combat than any human alive. Brennan had commanded destroyers during Earth's last corporate war, back when humanity's conflicts were limited to a single solar system. Now he commanded the Resolute Dawn, and James suspected the old warrior missed the simplicity of fighting enemies he could actually understand. "Report," Brennan said, his voice carrying the unmistakable weight of decades of command. James gave him the summary in 30 seconds flat. To Brennan's credit, his expression never changed. When James finished, the captain moved to Raina's station and studied the data for himself. "They're not trying very hard to hide," Brennan observed after a moment. A ship that size should be able to mask its thermal signature much better than this. Maybe they want us to know they're there, James suggested. An intimidation tactic. Or a test. Brennan straightened up, his gaze sweeping across the bridge. They're watching to see how we respond. Whether we run, whether we call for help, or whether we investigate. He was quiet for a moment, and James could almost see the tactical calculations running behind those experienced eyes. Lieutenant Park, anything else in the system? Any other surprises waiting for us? Negative, sir. Just that one contact. Brennan nodded slowly. They send one ship to observe a human colony. Either they're supremely confident or supremely stupid. Given the size of that vessel, I'm betting on confident. He turned to face the entire bridge crew. Listen up, people. We have an unknown contact in our system, and they've been watching us without introducing themselves. That suggests hostile intent. However, we will not fire first. We are going to approach this professionally and by the book. If they want to fight, they'll get one. But they'll be the ones who started it. The captain's words had an immediate effect, steadying the crew. James could see shoulders relax, hands becoming steadier on their controls. Brennan had that effect on people. He made you believe that competence and courage could overcome any obstacle, even 3,000 meters of alien warship. Helm, plot an intercept course, Brennan ordered crisply. Communications. Prepare a standard greeting in all known languages and mathematical sequences. We're going to say hello properly. Sir? James said quietly, moving closer so only the captain could hear. One ship against something that size. Are we sure that's wise? Brennan smiled, and there was something fierce and determined in that expression. Wisdom is knowing when to fight and when to run, Commander. Right now, we represent humanity to whatever is out there. If we run, they learn we're cowards. If we fight without talking, they learn we're savages. But if we approach with strength and dignity, he paused, letting the words sink in. Then they learn that humans are not to be underestimated. The Resolute Dawn began its burn, its powerful engines pushing the small frigate toward the outer system, toward the waiting unknown, toward whatever destiny the universe had prepared for humanity's newest explorers. In the silent darkness between worlds, the colossal alien ship waited. It watched, and it began to calculate the true price of underestimating these strange creatures who had learned to sail between the stars with little more than raw determination and stubborn courage. The game had just begun, though neither side yet understood the rules they would be playing by. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from the final frontier. We'll see you in the next one. The journey to the outer system took 16 hours. 16 hours of mounting tension, of checking and rechecking systems, of running combat simulations that never quite captured the reality they were about to face. James spent most of that time on the bridge, watching the alien ship grow larger on their sensors, watching it make no move to hide or flee or communicate. Chief Engineer Rodriguez reported the engines running at peak efficiency. Weapons Officer Chun confirmed all railgun batteries were charged and missile tubes loaded. Dr. Emil Vaughn, the ship's medical officer, prepared sickbay for casualties nobody wanted to think about. The Resolute Dawn was as ready as she would ever be. Coming up on visual range, Reyna announced, putting it on main screen. The view screen flickered and resolved into an image that made several crew members draw sharp breaths. The alien ship was massive, yes, but it was the design that truly impressed. Where human ships were built for function with occasional nods to aesthetics, this vessel was a work of brutal art, dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, weapon emplacements that bristled from every surface like the spines of some deep-sea predator, engines that glowed with a sickly green luminescence that suggested technologies humanity had yet to imagine. That's a warship, Brennan said softly. No civilian vessel needs that much firepower. Getting power readings now, Rena reported. Her voice had gone very quiet. Sir, their reactor output is at least 10 times our maximum. Those weapons could tear us apart in seconds. James felt his heart rate increase, but kept his voice steady. Any response to our hails? Nothing, sir. Complete radio silence. Brennan stood from his chair and approached the view screen, hands clasped behind his back. James had seen that posture before. It meant the captain was thinking 3 moves ahead, calculating angles and trajectories that existed as much in the realm of psychology as physics. They want us to be afraid, Brennan said. Show us the big scary ship, let us imagine what it can do, wait for us to either run or make a mistake. He turned to face his crew. We're going to disappoint them. Communications, send this message on all frequencies. Audio and text. He waited while the communications officer prepared to record. When the ready light blinked green, Brennan spoke with the calm authority of someone who had faced death before and found it less impressive than advertised. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Thomas Brannan of the United Earthship, Resolute Dawn. You are operating in territory claimed by the Human Systems Alliance. We request immediate communication regarding your intentions in this system. We are prepared to offer assistance if needed, or to facilitate diplomatic contact with our government. Please respond within the next 30 minutes. Brennan out. Message sent, sir, the communications officer confirmed. Now we wait, Brennan said, returning to his chair. And we show them that humans don't scare easily. 28 minutes passed. James counted every one of them. The alien ship remained motionless, a dark monument to technologies and civilizations humanity knew nothing about. Then, with less than 2 minutes remaining in Brennan's deadline, the ship's running lights suddenly blazed to life. The effect was staggering. What had been a dark mass became a nightmare of glowing weapon ports and armor plating that looked thick enough to shrug off. And UCLEAR weapons. The ship rotated slowly, deliberately, ensuring the Resolute Dawn sensors captured every detail of its firepower. They're showing off, James muttered. They're trying to, Brennan corrected. Lieutenant Park, full scan. I want to know everything about that ship. Raina's fingers flew across her controls. Data streamed onto side monitors as the Resolute Dawn sensors worked overtime. Multiple weapon types. Energy weapons, projectile systems, what look like missile tubes. Armor is some kind of composite I've never seen before. And sir, I'm detecting smaller craft inside. Fighters or dropships, maybe. Dozens of them. Crew complement? Brennan asked. Estimating between 3,000 and 5,000, based on life support signatures. 5,000 against 82. The math was not encouraging. But James noticed something in the sensor data, something that made him lean forward. Captain, look at their weapon tracking. They're not locked onto us. Brennan studied the tactical display. You're right. They're at full power, but not targeting us specifically. Why show the threat, but not aim it? Maybe they're not sure about us either, James suggested. Maybe they're as curious about humanity as we are about them. Before Brennan could respond, the communications station erupted with alert tones. Incoming transmission, sir. It's not in any language database, but the computer is working on translation. On screen, Brennan ordered out the view screen split. The alien ship remained on one side. On the other appeared a face that would haunt James's dreams for months afterward. It was vaguely reptilian, with scales that shifted between green and purple depending on the light. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on a head that was too wide for human proportions. When it opened its mouth to speak, James counted 3 rows of teeth designed for tearing meat. The words came through distorted at first, the computer struggling to match alien phonetics with human language. But gradually, meaning emerged from the chaos. Human vessel. I am War Commander Krell of the Dravonics Hegemony. You are trespassing in territory we have claimed for expansion. You will surrender your ship and submit to questioning. Resistance will result in your destruction. You have one of your time units to comply. The transmission ended. The alien ship's weapons began tracking the Resolute Dawn with mechanical precision. Brennan was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then he smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Communications, open channel. Full broadcast. Channel open, sir. War Commander Krell, this is Captain Brennan. Let me explain something about humans that you may not understand yet. We don't surrender. Not to threats, not to superior firepower, not to anything. This system contains a human colony, and we are sworn to protect it. If you want this territory, you'll have to go through us. And I promise you, Commander, that will cost you more than you're willing to pay. James felt his pulse pounding in his ears. The captain had just declared war against an enemy that could swat them like an insect. But looking around the bridge, he saw something unexpected. The crew wasn't panicking. They were grim, yes, focused absolutely, but not afraid. Brennan had given them something more valuable than hope. He had given them purpose. Sir, Reyna said quietly. They're charging weapons. I see it, Brennan replied calmly. Helm, evasive pattern Delta 7. Weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. All hands to battle stations. The Resolute Dawn's alert klaxons began to wail. Throughout the ship, crew members rushed to their assigned stations. In engineering, Rodriguez nursed every last erg of power from the reactors. In sickbay, Dr. Vaughn prepared for the worst. And on the bridge, 82 humans prepared to face 5,000 aliens in a battle that would determine whether their species had a future among the stars. The alien ship fired. Brilliant green energy lanced across the void. The Resolute Dawn twisted in space, her agile frame dancing aside as weapons meant to destroy much larger vessels tore through empty space where she had been a heartbeat before. Return fire, Brennan ordered. All batteries. Railgun spoke with electromagnetic fury. Projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed crossed the distance in seconds. They struck the alien ship's armor and exploded in brilliant flashes that lit up the darkness between worlds. Damage assessment? Brennan demanded. Minor scoring to their armor plating, Reyna reported. We're not penetrating, sir. Then we'll just have to be more creative, Brennan said. He leaned forward in his chair, eyes locked on the tactical display. Commander Harlow, remember what they taught us at the Academy about defeating superior opponents? James did remember. Don't fight their battle. Make them fight yours. Exactly. Brennan's smile grew wider. Helm, take us into that asteroid field, full speed. Let's see how well that monster maneuvers in tight spaces. The Resolute Dawn dove toward a dense cluster of asteroids, tumbling rocks of ice and stone that had orbited the star since its formation. Behind them, the massive alien warship turned ponderously to follow. And in that moment, James understood what the captain was doing. They couldn't win a straight fight, so they wouldn't have one. They would make the enemy fight on human terms, in human ways, with human cunning that had evolved over millennia of conflict. The asteroid field became their arena, a maze of tumbling rock and ice where size became a disadvantage rather than strength. The Resolute Dawn wove between obstacles with graceful precision, her smaller frame allowing maneuvers the massive Dravonics warship could never match. James watched the tactical display with fierce concentration, calling out trajectories while Brennan orchestrated their desperate dance of survival. They're trying to herd us toward open space, Reyna reported, tracking the alien ship's movements. Pushing us away from cover. Let them think they're succeeding, Brennan replied. His hands gripped the armrests of his command chair, knuckles white, but voice steady. "Weapons. I want you to target the largest asteroid in Sector 4. The one with the iron core." Sean looked up from his station, confusion flickering across his face before understanding dawned. "Sir, that's brilliant." James saw it too. The asteroid Brennan had chosen was massive, easily a kilometer across, and its metallic composition made it dense beyond measure. "You're going to use it as a weapon. If we can't hurt them directly, we'll let physics do the work." Brennan turned to the helm officer. "Thread us through the debris field. Make it look like we're panicking. Get them close to that iron asteroid." The next 10 minutes were the longest of James's life. The Resolute Dawn twisted and spun through space, dodging green energy beams that turned nearby asteroids into vapor. The alien ship followed with relentless determination, its weapons tracking constantly, firing whenever they had even a marginal shot. The smaller human vessel took glancing hits that made the deck shudder and sent damage reports flooding into the bridge. "Hull breach on Deck 3. Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. "Sealing it now. Starboard maneuvering thruster is offline," the helm officer called out. "Compensating with port side." Still they flew. Still they dodged, drawing the enemy deeper into the asteroid field. The Dravonics warship was so focused on its prey that it failed to notice how the smaller ship was carefully positioning itself, how each evasive maneuver was calculated, not just for survival, but for strategy. "Now," Brennan said quietly, "hit that asteroid with everything we have." The Resolute Dawn's railguns fired in perfect synchronization. Dozens of projectiles struck the iron asteroid simultaneously, the kinetic impact sending it tumbling directly into the path of the pursuing alien ship. The Dravonics warship tried to turn, tried to avoid the collision, but 3,000 meters of metal cannot change direction quickly. The impact was spectacular. Rock and iron met advanced armor plating at speeds that turned both into temporary plasma. The alien ship staggered, its forward momentum arrested, its careful pursuit thrown into chaos. Atmosphere vented from ruptured sections. Weapon ports went dark. For the first time since the battle began, the Predator looked vulnerable. "Direct hit to their forward sections," Rena announced, her voice tight with excitement. "Heavy damage. Their reactor output is fluctuating." "Follow up," Brennan ordered. "All missiles target their damaged areas. Fire for effect." The Resolute Dawn's missile tubes opened and spat death into the void. Smart weapons accelerated toward the wounded enemy, their guidance systems locked onto the ruptures in that previously impenetrable armor. The alien ship's point defense systems tried to intercept, but the damage they had taken slowed their response. Most of the missiles got through. Explosions blossomed across the Dravonics warship's hull. Secondary detonations suggested the missiles had found something vital, perhaps fuel lines or ammunition stores. A massive vessel began listing to one side, its engines firing erratically as it struggled to maintain stability. "They're hailing us," the communications officer said, surprise evident in her tone. On screen, Brennan said War Commander Krell appeared again. But now his scaled face showed emotions James could read, despite their alien nature. Anger, yes, but also something that might have been respect. Behind him, the alien bridge was chaos, with crew members working frantically at damaged stations, while emergency lighting cast everything in shades of amber and red. "Human captain," Krell said, his translated words coming through clearer now. "You fight with cunning we did not expect from a species so new to the stars. You have wounded a hegemony warship, something few have accomplished. But this changes nothing. You are still one small ship. We will repair, and we will return with others. Your colony world will fall." Brennan stood from his chair, and James saw something in the captain's posture that made him understand why this man had survived every battle he had ever fought. It was not just skill or experience. It was an absolute refusal to accept defeat as a possibility. Commander Krell, you're making the same mistake every bully makes. You think power is about size and weapons. But humans learned something during our long history on a single planet. Real power is about will, about refusing to quit even when the smart thing would be to run away. You came here expecting to frighten primitives. Instead, you found people who will fight for their homes with everything they have. Brennan paused, letting his words sink in. You damaged our ship. You killed some of my crew. And yes, you're probably right that you could come back with more vessels and overwhelm us through sheer numbers. But ask yourself this question, Commander. How many ships are you willing to lose? Because I promise you, every time you come to this system, humans will be here to meet you. Every time you attack, we will make you bleed. Eventually, you'll have to ask yourself whether one colony world is worth the cost. Krell was silent for a long moment. Behind him, his crew had stopped their frantic work and were watching the exchange. James realized something profound was happening here, something that transcended the immediate battle. Two species were taking each other's measure, and the outcome would shape their relationship for generations to come. You speak boldly for someone whose ship is barely functional, Krell finally said. Yes, we're hurt, Brennan admitted. But we're still here, still fighting, still protecting what's ours. That should tell you something about humanity, Commander. We don't measure victory by how easily we win. We measure it by what we're willing to endure to protect the people we love. Another long silence. Then Krell did something unexpected. He bared his teeth in what might have been a smile, though on his face it looked more like a predator's threat display. Perhaps we underestimated your species, Captain Brennan. Perhaps there is more to humanity than we believed. The hegemony will withdraw from this system. For now, but this is not over. Other worlds lie between us, and eventually our paths will cross again. When they do, Brennan replied, we'll be ready. The transmission ended. The massive alien warship began maneuvering away from the asteroid field, its damaged hull trailing debris and venting atmosphere. It was a slow retreat, dignified despite the wounds it carried. The resolute Dawn held position and watched it go. Should we pursue? James asked quietly. Brennan shook his head. No, we've made our point. They know we can be dangerous. Now we let them spread that message to the rest of their empire. He turned to address the bridge crew, and his voice carried across every station. You people just changed the course of human history. Today, we prove that humanity belongs among the stars, not because we're the strongest or the most advanced, but because we refuse to be intimidated by those who are. You should all be very proud. The bridge erupted in cheers, crew members embracing each other, with the relief of those who had faced death and survived. James felt tears stinging his eyes and did not try to hide them. They had lost 17 people in the battle, 17 souls who would never see Earth again. But their sacrifice had bought humanity something. Precious, respect, a place at the table of galactic civilization, earned not through submission, but through courage. Dr. Vaughn's voice came over the intercom, steady despite the exhaustion James could hear beneath it. Captain, I need you to know that everyone in sickbay fought just as hard as anyone on the bridge. We saved lives today. Against odds that should have been impossible, we saved lives. Thank you, Doctor, Brennan replied. Thank you all. Now let's go home. Our colony needs to know they're safe. As the resolute Dawn limped toward Kepler's promise, James stood beside his captain and watched the stars wheel past the viewport. Somewhere out there, the Dravonics hegemony was reassessing everything they thought they knew about humanity. Other species would hear about this battle, about the small ship that refused to yield to overwhelming force. And humanity would have time to prepare for whatever came next. Do you think they'll really leave us alone? James asked. Brennan considered the question. No, but they'll think twice before attacking. And every moment they spend thinking is another moment we have to grow stronger, to build more ships, to prepare better defenses. We bought ourselves time, Commander. What we do with it will determine our species' future. The ship continued its journey home, carrying its wounded crew and its hard-won lessons. Behind them, the battlefield slowly dispersed, asteroids resuming their ancient orbits as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Humanity had announced its presence in the galaxy, not with words or treaties, but with the simple declaration that they would not be pushed aside without a fight. In the days that followed, word of the battle spread. The colony on Kepler's Promise celebrated their defenders. Earth's governments began emergency shipbuilding programs. And across human space, people looked up at the stars with new understanding. The universe was vast and often hostile, filled with powers that could crush them if they chose. But humans had something those powers lacked. They had the fire of will that refused to be extinguished. They had the courage to face impossible odds and fight anyway. They had each other, and that was enough. The resolute Dawn reached orbit around Kepler's Promise as the local star painted the forest world in shades of gold and green. Captain Brennan stood on his bridge and looked down at the planet they had protected, at the lives that would continue because of choices made in the darkness between worlds. "Welcome home," he said softly, speaking to his crew and to himself and to all of humanity. "Welcome to the galaxy."